Hey climbers, Brent here. Are you ready to write your best songs ever? Are you ready to take that next step in your songwriting journey? Well, I want to help you with that. Listening to the C.L.I.M.B podcast is a great way to get started on your songwriting journey and to learn the basics about the art, the craft, and the business of songwriting. But eventually, you're probably going to need the personal touch. You're probably going to need some one-on-one feedback, some advice, and some help reaching your songwriting goals. And that's what I want to help do for you. I want to help you write your best songs ever. And I want to help you learn the art, the craft, and the business of songwriting, of how to turn pro in your mind and in your behavior before you ever turn pro on paper. Before you ever have the awards to hang on the wall, I want to give you the mindsets and the skills to earn that stuff. And so we'll dive into your questions and I'll give you honest answers. And I can help repair your song if it's already written but has a couple bugs and has some opportunities to get better. Or we can help prepare your song if you have an idea, a notion, a title. We can do your own private song title challenge if you want. If you want to get ready for a co-write, if you have a meeting coming up and you want to get your stuff locked down where it's the best it can be, I'm happy to help you do that as well. You can see my calendar, get all the details, and actually book a session at songwritingpro.com/coaching. That is songwritingpro.com/coaching. Now, if you're still not sure if a coaching session with me is the right thing for you, let's listen to what this climber had to say about their session.
The first time I met with Brent was an hour session, face-to-face on Skype. I was pretty excited to have the opportunity for some back and forth discussion about my songs, because up until then I had been pressing send on the computer and waiting for days for a written general critique. With the written critiques, I was finding that sometimes I was left trying to interpret them on my own and then comb through what I know to fix what I thought they were getting at. But Brent provided real-time interactive feedback based on a solid and deliberate method. It didn't feel random and definitely didn't feel like judgment. In the end, I went away with solution-based critique that made perfect sense to me. I remember being a little worried about wasting time in my session trying to think of every question that I might have so that I could make the very most of it. But once he dove in, and it's kind of a magical thing to witness, his brain just turns and churns until every nook and cranny of that song has been considered, and I just wasn't left with many questions at all. The best thing after my session was just being able to see a clear path ahead and feeling also like my own brain is clicking a whole bunch faster after trying to keep up with his crazy acrobatic ninja fighter type brain. So I highly recommend sessions with Brent.
Song Title Challenge.
Hey guys, welcome to another Song Title Challenge where the question is, how would you write this one, songwriters? Please weigh in on it. What we do here, we get song titles from the C.L.I.M.B community. They send them into info@daredevilproduction.com. Once again, info@daredevilproduction.com. Production is singular. There is no S. Put Song Title Challenge into the subject line. I collect them. Brent does not know about them. I spring them live on him, and we spend the next 15 minutes mimicking what happens in the first 15 minutes of a pro write, like say on Music Row, where before, we got a cool title, and before we kind of get into it, we've got to figure out what are the different angles that we can write on the title. What are the different conceptual ways you can get to the lyric? Interesting thing, by the way, I've been listening to the Bob Lefsetz's podcast and kind of completely binging on that. Mm-hmm. And one of the interviews is with Danny Korchmar, who's like killer session guitar player and producer. He produced the Don Henley, big Don Henley records in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about Don Henley. He always starts with a title. Got Dirty Laundry, got a title. He's like, he had a bug up his butt about, the press was treating him bad. And so he had this Dirty Laundry title that he wanted to do, and so we wrote that together. And then, Boys of Summer and Sunset Grill and those songs, he kind of talks about how they wrote them, but it all started with a title, which was interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
So that's what we're doing here, guys. Anything you want to add to that, sir?
We are at Song Title Challenge number 50.
Oh, wow, awesome.
You guys have hurt my brain a lot. So, no, this is just to help encourage you to dig deeper and watch somebody else do it on the spot and go, okay, well, if you can do it with people listening, maybe I can go for a deeper, a different a fresher angle on it. Because, man, fresh angles are a big part of making your song memorable.
That's right. And not for nothing, like probably most of the time, the first thing you think of when you've got a title is probably the most cliche way to do it.
Yeah, a lot of the times. It's what a lot of people are going to write it as.
Yeah. And so if you want to be different, if you want to be a better songwriter, then putting this extra 15 minutes of work in at the beginning before you write is going to be a game changer for all your stuff. And maybe you go back on some of your old titles and rework some of them. You know, maybe there's another way you can do it. So having said that, by the way, not a co-write in any way, shape, or form. This is just a fun, creative exercise that we do, just number one, for ourselves because we love it. And number two, to just demonstrate how to kind of get in that creative space and do something that can up your songwriting. We want you to win here. So the only thing that, that you can use all of it, you can use none of it. Maybe it gives you a different idea and you springboard from that as the writer, who knows? But the only thing you owe us is we do want an invitation to the number one party.
Yes.
That's non-negotiable. Okay. So are you ready, sir?
Never, but that's never stopped me. Go.
All right. This is from Martin Vipond.
Martin.
Here we go.
Oh,
and this is, I can't wait to see what you do with this. This is
okay.
Lawn Boy Maserati.
Lawn Boy?
Yeah, and Lawn Boy is Lawn Boy is all one word. L-A-W-N, like mow the lawn. Lawn Boy, and it's all one word, Maserati. Spelled like the car.
Grief. It sounds like a tricked out tractor.
That sounds like a dang rock title, I think.
Lawn Boy Maserati. Okay, Martin, I take it back everything I've ever said nice about you. Lawn Boy Maserati. Good grief. Okay, well, you know what? Well, okay, what I think about is he's the lawn boy and she's the rich, lonely housewife. That her husband's off making all those millions of dollars and she's having a fling with the lawn boy. And now, how's that? Now he's pimping around in that Lawn Boy Maserati. Like, how's he been affording that when he's been cutting the grass? Because, he's been... Anyway,
he's not driving her car around. Yeah,
exactly. Driving her car, and now, probably just driving hers.
I think of O.J. Simpson, and I think of it's like his wife and Ron Goldman, like the boyfriend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Just driving her Ferrari, which is like OJ's Ferrari.
OJ's Ferrari, right?
Lawn Boy Maserati. He's like
Lawn Boy Maserati.
It's like 20 80s movies, like the concepts for like 20 different 80s movies.
I know it is. So it's the pool boy named Pedro, who's whatever. So yeah, he's out there clipping the shrubs and having an affair with, he's doing the jobs around the house that the husband won't do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What?
Yeah. So that's the first thing I think of. You got an idea?
I got an idea.
I'm scared. Okay.
So I'm thinking of Tim the Tool Man, Tim Allen.
Yeah.
Because this reminds me of like my dad. Like my dad is retired in Sun City, Arizona, and basically he can get around everywhere. He needs to get around to work and to golf and all that stuff in a cart. And he's got his cart's got like rims, and it's got a killer stereo system. Yeah. And it's like it's faster than anybody else's car because that's my dad. Like he can't just go from one light to the next light without feeling like he's in a competition. That's funny. Yeah. Which drives everybody crazy when you're. When you're riding shotgun on that.
I came here to slow down.
That's right. You're still trying to be faster than everybody else. But that kind of thing, like, how Tim the Tool Man would have, like, that could be like a real country kind of a tongue-in-cheek kind of a thing where everything's all hot-rodded out and the lawn boy like a John Deere with a V8 and a turbocharger.
Right. All cherry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. I mentioned tricked out tractors is the kind of the thought. It really is what I think of as lawnmower is because, the lawn, you're mowing the lawn. And so it's your Lawn Boy Maserati. It's a thing too, just pimping out your bad boy mower or your John Deere, your Murray, your Snapper. Toro. So what's another thing? What is the guy that owns the lawn care business? Driving a Maserati. It's like he don't get his hands dirty no more. Oh, that's a good idea. Kind of like the Millionaire Next Door. You don't know? Yeah, I kind of think like these people that didn't have to be a sexy business to get a sexy car. Yeah. So there's that concept too. Trying to think about this in a framework of making this like a hit song, a really compelling song. Because on these, we're aiming for like mass consumption kind of things. Usually, just going, what's a good, compelling way that's going to connect with a lot of people? The guy with the really tricked out lawnmower seems, at least in my taste anyway, too caricature, too novelty kind of thing. Like, okay. Plus, country guys, are they thinking Maserati? I don't think country boys are thinking Maserati. So it feels like maybe it's more of a rock thing, or if it is a storytelling kind of thing.
It could be the opposite of Maserati, though, right? Like Maserati could be the funny word, but it could be in the sense of you could buy me a boat vibe, right? Where you're just like, what's that? Well, that's a 1975 Chevy pickup truck that I've redone, and that's my lawn boy Maserati. Because maybe you're a lawn guy, maybe that's what you do, and that's what you call your Maserati, because it's about how you feel, not really about what. Maybe you're smarter because you're that simple kind of down home, honest to goodness country guy who can feel wealthy without spending $200,000.
Yeah, you want your yard to look good. That's where you feel all is right with the world. I am who I want to be.
George Jones.
It's all about the story you tell. Well, he was making beer runs.
but he loved to mow his own lawn. Like he still did that. Like he loved to mow his own lawn. That brought him peace. I mean, there could be something in that too. Like the way a Maserati man somehow gives someone the feels who
the story they want to tell themselves about themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is what gives me peace, just like George. And you can reference George Jones and be okay with that, It's like George, like my Maserati is this John Deere, blah blah blah. Like that's what brings me peace, because I'm out getting something done. And
lawn boy Maserati. I keep coming back to the idea of the literal lawn boy who's having the affair with the lonely rich housewife.
That's an LA story, yeah.
Yeah, feels like an LA story, because Maserati and paparazzi. It's like you got this thing about, not bad for a lawn boy. Get followed around by paparazzi. That lawn boy Maserati. The husband cheated on her. She took half his money, ran off with a lawn boy, and now he's got a Maserati, and they're all in the tabloids and everything. Or it could be more scandalous where she's still married.
Okay, something just popped in my head. When the Allman Brothers first came into my awareness was when I saw Greg Allman on the cover of People magazine, because he married Cher. Mm-hmm. Greg Allman married Cher.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Greg Allman from Macon, Georgia, like as southern and as country as it gets.
Yeah.
With a rock and roll kind of guy, married Cher. We're talking Malibu. Very, 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 very LA, TV, glitz, paparazzi, the whole thing. Yeah. And it didn't she was always like, baby, come home. And he's like, hell no. Like it was hell to him, right? Like it was like living hell to him to be there for that. Like he did not subscribe to that, even though he kind of liked it a little bit. Like, he wanted it on his terms, and it could be that, like where maybe the Maserati, what if the Maserati's like the hottest chick in town in your small town? Mm-hmm. And you're the lawn boy. And so it's like it could be a song about having the imposter syndrome where, man, I don't know what I did to deserve her. Like I'm the lawn boy and she's the Maserati, something like that. Or where maybe it's that same story that you're like this simple, honest goodness guy, like, and she's all the head of the cheer team or whatever, and very much the socialite and the most popular person in your town. We had a page 6, they'd write about her. And, something like that, you don't get the culture change.
Yeah. This feels like to me, I'm thinking like Blink 182, pop punk, sarcastic, snarky, funny. The lawn boy having the affair with the married woman, Lawn Boy Maserati. It's an absurd title, Martin. Right. And it seems like, okay, well, where could this fit in? Because that's part of what it is. Like, okay, what culture does this fit in? What brand does this fit in, right? We spent all last episode on Tuesday talking about culture and brand and everything. And like, oh, okay, when I'm not an expert in that kind of pop punk kind of thing, we'll need to talk to Jacob Cade about this. But like, does that make sense? Where you're just, you're kind of snarking at these people that think that better than us kind of thing. And look at the lawn boy Maserati.
Okay, but how would you write this country? Let me ask you that.
How would you write a country?
Because I tell you what, if I'm a publisher and I look at that, I'd be like, man, I'm going to want to listen to that. Probably thinking it's going to be a train wreck, right?
Oh, exactly. Yeah. So,
but you're going to want to listen.
Lawn boy Maserati. So, I mean, you can wrap that same story around just more of a country vibe. I just don't think it's going to be as strong because I don't think it's as much of a culture fit. Mainly because of Maserati thing. So, lawn boy Maserati. Maybe you are talking about the, like you mentioned, the girl that's the way too good for you. You totally outkicked your coverage. And it's like, and you're the lawn boy and she's the Maserati. And so maybe it's more of a Lissy thing where it's not this whole thing about the Maserati, but it's like a dog living in a mansion. It's like a lawn boy Maserati. It's like it
could be a list
hamburger.
Of
it's like a greasy hamburger on a fine china plate.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. It could be a whole list of those kind of comparisons.
Things that don't go together, like working class, blue collar kind of thing, and then boom, so it's like
a greasy hamburger on a fine china plate.
Yeah, but if you make it parallel to like Lawn Boy Maserati, it's like a parallel to that, like an identity Lawn Boy next to a thing, that is way upscale. So it's like a farmhand private jet. It's like a farmhand G7. It's like you know what I mean? It's a Lawn Boy Maserati. It's a farmhand G7. It's a blue collar penthouse suite.
A blue collar world cruise.
Yeah, a blue collar penthouse or
oh, there you go, penthouse suite. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. You asked me how it happened. You got me.
Yeah,
a Lawn Boy Maserati.
There you go. That's.
And if you're talking in the verses, you got to make that make sense in the verses, right? Like, she's way too good for me. I kicked my coverage, and I'm just wandering around going, "How did this happen?" It's like a redneck symphony. It's like a redneck symphony.
It's like a trailer park in Bel Air, a trailer park in Beverly Hills.
Redneck symphony, a farm boy G7, a blue collar penthouse, and a Lawn Boy Maserati. If you did that kind of stuff, and a little bit of commentary in between to go like, that's how she got me feeling. We make sense like that, but it works.
Yeah, Lawn Boy Maserati. Yeah.
Everybody looks like that doesn't make sense at all. We've all seen those couples.
They're all confused.
Those couples. You're like, how'd that happen?
Yeah. I actually got a picture one time I posted of straight up. It's like, this is when you know you're in the South, and it's a Lamborghini with a trailer hitch. And it's hauling like the most redneck trailer full of junk that you can possibly imagine, like a 2-wheeled trailer, like jury rig wooden sides.
It's like the trailer's just the back end of a pickup truck.
Yes, they're like full of crap.
They're just pulling the back end of a pickup truck.
Attached to a damn Lamborghini. Like, here's a redneck that won the lottery.
Exactly, yeah.
That could be it, like the redneck that won the lottery, All of a sudden, I'm a Lawn Boy Maserati. That rhymes,
Yeah, this redneck won the lottery. Yeah, I got the Lawn Boy Maserati. Yeah, that'd be great. That's a great rhyme. Yeah, I feel like I won the lottery. I got
the Lawn Boy Maserati.
Like a blue collar yacht and a Lawn Boy Maserati.
Yeah.
She's my blue collar yacht. My
like a John boat, a John boat yacht
or something. Yeah, but she's mine. She's my Lawn Boy Maserati. Like, dang. So anyway, Martin, shame on you. Shame on you, Martin.
I like that one. That was fun.
Okay, so ultimately, I'm going power pop, punk pop, something maybe, or that country thing's kind of interesting, but it's definitely weird. But that might be the good kind of weird. So, hope it's helpful. Hey, Martin, or anybody else out there, if you want to do a private song title challenge, I do consulting, and so you don't have to put out here for our millions and millions of listeners. Rock Moment brought to you by my childhood, and so I do one-on-one coaching, consulting. You can get all the details. You ask me anything you want to. We can help you repair your songs. We can help you prepare your songs. All that stuff you can find at songwritingpro.com/coaching. That is songwritingpro.com/coaching.
All right, there you go, guys. Well, once again, send in your song titles to info@daredevilproduction.com. Put song title challenge in the subject line, and we'll just take care of it on the air. This podcast is this because we want you to win, so keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.